Who's ready for some football snacks? With the Super Bowl approaching, I don't know about you, but the first thing I'm thinking about is what am I going to eat? I mean, my favorite team won't be in it this year. A little sad, a little bitter, I can't lie. But my favorite player, Jason Kelsey's brother, is playing, so I guess we'll watch it and we'll eat some great food while doing it. So no matter what Super Bowl you're watching, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Philly, and I wanted to share a snack that I think would be super tasty. You know, oftentimes we think about the salty snacks, but we can't forget about the sweet stuff because, you know, we all need a little something sweet with our salty. And this sweet snack is inspired by one of the most talked about girlfriends currently, and that is Taylor Swift. And I was reading an article about her, and she was talking about one of her favorite things her mom makes, and it's something with saltines, light brown sugar, and chocolate. And it got me thinking. I was first introduced to this one, I would call it a cookie-ish kind of confection at a cookie exchange for the holidays. And one of my friends brought this, and it was so addictive. The only difference was it involved saltines, regular sugar, butter, and chocolate. So when I read about Taylor Swift loving this thing her mom made, I had a hunch that was probably pretty similar to what I had had. It just used light brown sugar. Now, I'm never opposed to using light brown sugar because it only adds a little more flavor, a little touch of molasses, and it really enhances whatever you're making with it. So I'm going to adapt the recipe I had to have this inspiration to support this sweet snack that Taylor Swift loves in honor of her boyfriend, the other Kelsey, at the Super Bowl this year. So what you're gonna need for this recipe are few simple ingredients. We've got light brown sugar, we have unsalted butter, and we have some semi-sweet chocolate chips, and as well as some saltines. Now you could use the regular saltines, it might be a little easier, but I've made these cookies before, and I kind of want to break them into smaller pieces to almost make this irresistible chocolatey, salty, sweet snack that everyone is raving about. So I thought that the minis would work well. Back when I first got this recipe, they didn't have minis. It was all just the normal size saltine crackers. But now they have minis, which by the way, it is one of my favorite crackers to put in soup. They're totally addictive out of soup as well, so I knew these would be a smart choice. As I mentioned, to make this recipe, you just need these 4 ingredients. It's super simple. And what it's going to include is you need about a pound of saltine crackers. So the minis are, let me see here, they're 11 ounces. So they're above a half a pound. So you would need 2 of these boxes, but not the entire 2. And you also need some light brown sugar, a cup, and you also need 12 ounces, which is usually a package of the dark or the semi-sweet chocolate chips, but you could get dark chocolate chips, and you usually need 2 sticks of butter. I'm going to put this or cut this recipe in half because I actually don't want to make as many. I'm not going to a cookie exchange. It's just for a Super Bowl party, and it'll be quite small. So I'm going to have the measurements below, but I'm having the recipe. So for my recipe today, I'm actually going to be using 8 ounces of the mini saltines, a half a cup of light brown sugar, 1 stick of butter, and 6 ounces of my semi-sweet chocolate chips. The first thing we're going to want to do is we want to lay these crackers side by side along the bottom of a 9x13 pan. If you're making the full recipe, you use a full cookie sheet, one of those full long ones, jelly roll pans you kind of call their, I forget the dimensions, but you get the gist, a typical large cookie sheet. I also want to make sure and preheat my oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm using convection, so I have it at 350 degrees. We want to get that preheated. So first, let's get these laid out. To lay them out, I'm just going to sprinkle them along the bottom and then spread them out so they can be side to side. Just get some out there, and then we're just going to put them in rows. You actually want to be kind of fastidious about this because when you do, you're able to make pieces that can then be broken. I'm going to take any of the pieces that are small and discard them, looking for the regular size pieces because that will help make this much easier to break apart once it's done. And there you go. You can see everything is all sorted out And once you do this with one pan, you're going to want to do it one more time to replicate half the recipe. You also will notice these are going to be thinner and make a little bit different texture than the regular saltines. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to be melting 1 stick of butter and a half cup of brown sugar. You can do it over the stove or we can do it in the microwave. I'm going to do it in the microwave. After you melt the sugar and the butter, you want to make sure and use some sort of a whisk. It doesn't have to be this style, it could be a regular whisk, just to make sure that the sugar and butter get well incorporated. It won't be completely dissolved, but you do want it to be more of one mixture. I've already poured half of this mixture on one sheet pan, and now I'm going to pour the other half on our other pan that we have here. Just going to drizzle it over. You're aiming to try to generally have it somewhat even, although it will spread out in the oven as well. And then you can just gently spread it a little bit. Don't worry about too much. I'm just generally, because your crackers will move, I'm just trying to give it a little bit of spread, but it will continue to spread while it's in the oven. There we go. And they kind of stick together, especially once you get the sugar and butter mixture on them. They stick together more for sure. There we go. So it'll look like this. And now we're going to pop this in our 375-degree oven for 10 minutes. Keep an eye on it at the last bit and make sure it looks bubbly and ready to come out. Look at the bubbly yumminess. Okay, the oven timer went off and look at them. They look almost crystallized. We made basically some candy there. And then we need to do quickly is get some of our chocolate chips sprinkled about so that they can take the heat and then we can spread them. So we're going to spread them around using the heat. Don't worry about doing a little more. You can never have too much chocolate. There we go. If you're impatient like I am, you can put them in the oven that's cooling for just a minute or two, and now you can see that they're all glistening, and then you just take an offset spatula. Let me get my pot holder, and you're just going to spread this across the crackers into a thin layer, even layer, so that create this buttery, salty, sugary candy. And it's the perfect blend of salty and sweet. There you go. And now we need to pop it into the refrigerator to let it cool, and then we can break it into candy. Alrighty, so the saltines and chocolate have completely cooled. One thing that's helpful is to kind of flex your pan underneath just to help get things loosened. I think this is going to pop out, but that's helpful. It's a helpful technique. You're just kind of pushing in the bottom. And then I'm going to put a cutting board over top, flip it, and I heard it go down, and there it is. And you can see, let me show you the bottom of this. You can see the bottom, how it's like all crackled, and this is the buttery, sweet part of it, and then the saltines gives you your salty part. And then what I try to do is just crack it along where the little saltines are, and that's a good place to start. So you kind of can start by doing that, and ideally I would like to crack them along each of the little crackers, which is why I wanted to do the little ones, because it makes these bite-sized, wonderful little chocolatey, salty, sweet morsels. And you can see how quick and easy this is. Now you can always use the regular size saltines. They will be bigger, and frankly that's nice, especially for the holidays. It makes a nice sweet cookie, so to speak. But for, I don't know, for a party, I think these bite-sized pieces are perfect. So let's just get the rest of these done. Sometimes it's kind of easier just to do the rows. And you can see this is so quick and easy. Now, I feel like I have to try one. Oh my goodness. I can't even tell you. They're crunchy. The saltine, of course, is crunchy. And the saltine gives you that salty bite. I'm going to have this one too. But the sweet and buttery, it just hits. It is absolutely addictive, fabulous. Everyone at the Super Bowl party is going to love that you brought these. You can tell them you were inspired by Taylor Swift, or you could not tell them, your choice. But truly, when I heard that she liked something her mom made that used these ingredients, I know I can't guarantee this is what it was, but it just to me sounded identical to this confection. And I think it's so easy. It is so addictive. It hits everything. And again, I just really love the bite-size nature of these. I think you can put them in a bowl, and they're just great for people to grab during the game or during any party. One more. Spectacular.